Yo, what is up? Welcome to episode 2 of the Super Retro Bros podcast. And I even have my Super Mario Brothers shirt on this week. Last week I was sporting the Sonic shirt, tie-dye.
Awesome.
We're back. We got some special guests this week. We're going to be talking some 16-bit shmups, my favorite type of shmups. And we're going to be talking some Mega Drive Mini 2 reviews and reactions. So joining me tonight, as usual, is Mad Max and Cyrus, who we think is Cyrus, but we're unsure. It looks like a Lord of Cyrus, Lords of Thunder. And then we got joining us tonight, Retro Complex and Raya, who just hit 1,000 subs, by the way. So give it up for Raya. Congrats.
Yes,
you deserve it. But thank you all for being here.
Really appreciate it.
I'll tell you what, in 2022, that is quite an accomplishment. It's not as easy as it used to be.
Nah,
it really isn't. All of the OGs on here on YouTube just do not know. They do not know how hard it is.
I can't remember how long. I've been on YouTube for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how long it took me, but it was a year, maybe even longer. It was so I got monetized literally right before they changed everything over, because before, I think when I started on YouTube, I was able to monetize right away.
Yes.
But then they changed it to where you had to have 1,000 subscribers, and it was like the watch hours is what gave everybody the hard time, because live streaming wasn't as popular back then. And I mean, people live stream, but not like now. And
it was the whole PewDiePie situation that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So once that happened, even my channel, I used to own a channel before, and I wasn't 1,000. It was super easy to me to get into 1,000.
Oh my God, Retro! I love your voice. Holy crap! I don't know if I spent enough time watching your channel. I'm listening to your voice, and I'm like, I have to let me check out your channel. Let me do this now. I love your voice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worry.
Well, Cyrus, what about mine?
Shut up, Max.
No,
Go back.
I have one of the worst voices here. Cyrus has a really good speaking voice. Raya,
Retro Complex is never going to want to come back because you won't even let him finish his point.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I was distracted.
Sorry.
I was like, squirrel. All
right. So what was the saying?
You're saying you were your experience on the platform over the last few years has changed dramatically.
Back in the day, it was super easy to get to 1,000. Soon as the whole monetization and everything happened, that's when, oh my God, it's so hard. It's like I've been grinding over 2 years already, even though my content is a little bit niche, but I've been grinding, and it's hard. It's really hard.
But you're committed and you're consistent. So yeah. Awesome.
Well, speaking of some channel growth, man, Cyrus has apparently hit a gold mine in his Genesis content. He's got a video.
Yeah.
Are you up to 13,000 views on that right now? And it's
14.
Man.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I'm sorry. Backing away.
14, sir. Get it right. Hello.
But no, it is a very good video. It deserves it because it's my favorite console, which we're going to talk about tonight. Because I can't vote on the poll, but my vote goes to the Sega Genesis as far as the best 16-bit shoot 'em up. Controversial, I know. I don't care. I'm right.
Wow,
it's got amazing shooters on it. So, on that note, we're going to talk some 16-bit shoot 'em ups. So I've had the wonderful privilege of just going back. I've been doing this thing lately. I go back and forth between modern gaming and retro gaming, and I just built this gaming PC, and I'm like, I don't know what to play on this. I finished Kana. I dabble in modern warfare a little bit here and there just for fun, but I always find myself going back to retro because it's just a plethora of just amazing games that it just blows my mind how, I grew up, my first console was an NES. It blows my mind how I can go back to the consoles that I grew up with, NES, Sega Genesis, PlayStation, and find these games that I've never like even heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on this shmup kick. I don't know, probably Cyrus's fault. I'm not sure how this happened. but I just kind of went down this rabbit hole, and I did a shmup video, and I was like, reached out to Max. Max is like, dude, it's a good video. We need to talk about this. So we'll do this, right? So I can't vote on the poll, but we'll go around the horn here. I'm going to say Sega Genesis. I have a few different favorites. I would say as far as my actual favorite shoot 'em up on the Genesis would to this day be Truxton, but I think there are some other good ones on there as well. Wings of War is a good one. And I've gotten really behind Fire Shark lately, which is a great one. And so I'm going to vote Genesis. Although TurboGrafx 16, there's something to be said about those shmups. So Retro Complex, I'd love to hear your thoughts as I know you're a huge retro gamer.
I grew up with a Super Nintendo, sadly. So all I know was, because back in the day, my mom didn't want me. I don't know why. She didn't want me to buy a Genesis. No matter what I tried, no matter what I begged for, the only thing that I got close to Sega was the Game Gear. That was it. So everything was Super Nintendo, everything was Nintendo. So I grew up with R-Type. That was my shooter.
Which R-Type? Super R-Type?
Super R-Type, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my thing.
R-Type 3 is amazing on Super Nintendo. That's a great one. Super R-Type's cool. It's just got a lot of slowdown, but it's still really cool.
Yeah, those are the games that I grew up with, at least. I don't know much about shoot-up, depending on the shoot-up, because you can consider a shoot-up like Cuphead will be a shooter-up, right? Because that's like a side-scroller shooting.
And never apologize for owning a Super Nintendo. It's a badass console.
I was a Genesis kid, and when I always go back to Donkey Kong Country, I was a huge Genesis kid. Obviously I had that's really fucking bright. Oh my god! But, the screen is huge. But I had a Genesis. My first system was an NES, and then I just remember seeing Sonic, and it was for the older kids and Streets of Rage. And I'm like, I have to get a Genesis, so I bugged my parents for a Genesis.
Man, I tried.
And then when Donkey Kong Country came out, my cousin got it. My cousin was like a year or two younger than me, and I would go over to their house all the time, and they got Donkey Kong Country, and I went, oh, holy shit. I think I got the wrong console because this looks amazing. Like me and Cyrus were talking about this the other day. I think unless you were around when that happened, when Donkey Kong Country came out for the Super Nintendo, I don't know how many people can really like look back without kind of having been there and really appreciate how like amazing that game looked and played for its time.
I was telling on one of my videos about I had the same thing happen to me with the Sega CD when I saw Sylpheed, and I was like, oh, this looks amazing. It's funny how there's always that one game that's on another console and you're like, what?
What did I miss? Yeah.
I apologize to Ray. I don't know if you're a huge shmup fan. I don't know if you've played a lot of shmups in your day, but you could definitely talk about the Genesis, though.
Yeah, so I'm just like here to absorb and get some recommendations on the shmups, to be honest, because that's a genre that I totally missed out on as a kid. I remember mentioning a few times that my first console that I owned outright was a PS1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is all new information as far as like these titles that y'all are recommending.
Can I give you a straight up recommendation right off the bat?
It's Lords of Thunder. I'm kicking you off.
No. It's a Genesis shooter. It's a Genesis.
Oh, okay, I'll allow it.
Play, but you have to read the dialogue when you play this game in the opening cinematic. Play Zero Wing, and just read the opening stuff. It's hilarious. You will have a great time just reading the poorly translated opening sequence for Zero Wings.
That sounds like a game that would be fun to stream, just like to narrate the poor translation.
You'll have a good time with that one. Trust me.
Oh, here it is. Zero Wing.
Jeffrey Miller, thank you for the $4.99 super sticker. We really appreciate you supporting the show. Make sure to sub to all my friends here. We're gonna make this Super Retro Bro show a pretty legit series. Lots of guests, lots of fun, spreading a lot of positivity and love to all the gamers out there. So appreciate the support.
One of the things I was telling Cyrus offline the other day was I want to start going back and getting some like maybe older developers from like the NES era and the Sega Genesis era, and kind of getting them on and seeing some hindsight. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I would love that. I actually found a really cool. He also has a YouTube channel. What's his Racket Boy? Oh, never mind. I thought he had a YouTube channel. What's this?
This
is Zero Wing.
Zero Wing. Oh yeah, this is going to be on the next one of those Evercade carts. Too.
I want to see the translation though.
This is one of those games you can absorb the enemies and use them as weapons.
I think I might have been playing this the other day.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
Gyra's is the other one that's like this.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, Brian. My mom was anti-gun, but
Same
she let me play Mortal
Captain,
Kombat.
What happened? Somebody set up as the bomb. This is terrible.
It's amazing.
Not
it's
guns.
amazing.
We get signal. Captain, what?
It's hilarious. This is legendary. This is legendary.
Operator, main screen turn on. Captain, it's you.
You should let Raya read it. Raya, read that.
Oh, we got all your bases.
This is the all your base
This
belongs
is a
to
real
us.
awesome.
Yeah.
I know this. Yes. All your base belong to us.
There you go.
See, a little gaming history on the Super Retro Bros podcast. I actually didn't know that was from this game.
I didn't realize it either.
You can pull my retro card, I guess.
I forgot where it was from. So
One of the first internet memes. Yeah, that was one of the first internet memes.
I think my favorite retro meme though has got to be the Symphony of the Night. What is a man? But miserable pile of secrets. Yes.
You know what you're doing. Good God, this is awful.
Shout out to Mr. Poopy Pants. It's
Shout out to Mr. Poopy.
Shout out.
Oh, well, look at the icon there. Okay, because this was going to be my pick as one everyone needs to play. Eliminate Down. It was not released in the U.S.
Oh, that's a great
import.
That's a great shooter.
Yes, Eliminate Down.
Luke actually had me playing that yesterday. I wish he could have been on. He's
Eliminate Down.
And I only played it emulated. Well, I played it on my EverDrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because buying it legit is like $200-$300.
Yeah.
It's one of the more expensive ones.
I have a quick question. So, growing up, I don't remember having too much exposure to Sega consoles. Just, in my family or things like that, we were mostly like Nintendo and PlayStation. So I'm curious, since Kent, you mentioned that you were a Super Nintendo kid as well, or that you had more of your exposure to Nintendo stuff. What was it that was that made Sega like your choice as a kid? Was it just what your parents got you, and that just happened to be what you loved, or was it your choice between the two, Nintendo and Sega?
So I really wanted the Sega because every kid in my neighborhood had it because of Mortal Kombat, and every time they would fight and the fatality, you would see blood. So I wanted it because it was a more adult console. At least that's what everybody was saying, like that's what I wanted. But my family, my mom at that time was a little bit Christian, so she didn't want no violence game, this. Even though I was playing Mortal Kombat in the Super Nintendo, like I was laughing just now because I was seeing somebody mentioning that. But she was more into oh no, this is a better console. Let's play this console. It's better for you. My house, even though there's a lot of gamers, the time that my mom was a little bit Christian, it was like no violence, no blood, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, I had to conform myself into the Nintendo era.
Yeah. So for me, because I went NES to Sega Genesis. So for me, it was extremely different. You have to also remember the Genesis came out like 2 years before the Super Nintendo did. Yeah. So that was like TurboGrafx 16 was 16-bit, but no one knew what the fuck that thing was. For those who even heard of it.
What is that? The turbo what?
Yeah, exactly. No, so my dad goes to me in the 90s. My stepdad, he goes, because this is before he met my mom. He goes, oh yeah, years ago I used to have a TurboGrafx 16. I thought he was making it up. I was like, that's not a real thing, Dad. Like there was Sega, there was Nintendo and Sega. I never even knew about it till later. I thought he was because my dad would like make shit up. I don't know, and I thought he was making it up. I thought he was bullshitting me. And for me,
I want to thank your dad for inventing TurboGrafx 16. Here's to him.
Atari wasn't even part of the conversation.
Really not at the time then. But it was different and it was newer and it was that actually 16-bit, and it was for the older, cooler kids because that's kind of the demographic that Sega kind of went after. You look at guys like Tom Kalinske, and he was all about building brands because he built like the Barbie brand. He created the Flintstone vitamins and branded those and took those to market. So he was really big about branding, and that was his target, was the older, cooler kids. So if you were like, especially it appeals to that male testosterone thing, like, you know, Streets of Rage, like you said, Mortal Kombat with the blood. Yeah. That's who it was for. Sports games too. Yeah, sports games. Like they just had better sports games.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to start. I'll do some of the stuff for us in the chat. Well, since you're talking, I'll please sub to Cyrus channel. 731 subs. Whew.
Damn, Cyrus, you had 300 a week ago. Good job, bro.
I can't take credit for it. I don't know what's happening. I just appreciate everybody. Thank you. That's all I can say. I don't even know.
I would strongly recommend, I was saying this before, I've been on YouTube a long time. I've noticed that a lot of even the bigs are moving over to more streaming content. So some people are looking forward to some of that pre-recorded stuff. And sometimes you can hit it at the right time with the right topic. Mm-hmm. And Cyrus is proof of that. So experiment, have a little of both if you can, if you have the time. I know it's hard to do everything, but definitely every once in a while. Great job, Cyrus, man. But go sub to him, get him to 1K, everyone. You know,
heck yeah.
I'm just having a good time. You know, I'm just having a good time. So
that's what was supposed to be. YouTube, have a great time.
I know, right?
People have stopped doing that. I don't know what is the competition now. It's like a huge I don't know if you guys feel it like that way, but I have seen it how people behave in YouTube lately. And it's like a huge competition instead of just doing content because you enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's like this competition that they have.
I think when it comes to that, like it's nice to have channel goals, obviously, but when you are constantly, you can't compare yourself to everybody. Everyone's so different, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And everyone's going to have their own subset of an audience and what appeals to their audience. And sometimes you get some crossover. I think we see it quite a bit. Like I know when I'm in like Raya's live streams, I see a lot of people that are typically in my streams as well. But the nice thing is I like when I see people that aren't in my live streams over in her live streams, it gives me an opportunity to like, oh, let me check this channel out. You know what I mean? So I've never heard of them before. So it's a good way to find new content creators.
Yeah, actually, from Raya stream, somebody came to my live stream when I was doing the Castlevania one. They were dying because of what happened.
I want to get with you, Retro Complex, because I was watching your the thing you put on Twitter with that Castlevania boss, the Doom Castlevania boss, and I was laughing hysterically. And I was like, I got to start doing shorts like that. But the one time I tried to make a short, I edited it on my computer, and then I went to go on my PC and upload it through YouTube, and there was like no way to upload a short. I'm like, okay, I must be doing something wrong.
Oh, because I can explain to you that really fast. It's just you had to upload. It had to be specific, 59 seconds. It had to be really specific.
But it can be shorter than that, though, right?
Yeah, it can be shorter than that. Yeah, it can be shorter than that, and it has to be like in a phone, like you record your phone. You know, when you're recording your phone like this, it had to be that same actually size. I don't remember. I think it's 600 by 6. Something like that. I don't remember right now.
Okay.
The 9 by 16. Yeah.
9 by 16, something like that. Yeah.
It might have been the because I edited it in like normal screen size. So I was like, whatever. Okay. Anyways, I didn't want to go off topic. I'll figure it out. So Max, what about you, man? Like, how familiar are you with shmups when it comes to the 16-bit era? Also, what's your vote?
I went with Sega Genesis because you pressured me. I thought you were listen to the show.
We were all gonna get banned.
They all have great shmups. I think my favorite shmups, though, even though there's not as many, I love the Neo Geo shmups.
Oh yeah,
Blazing Star,
oh,
Pulse Star,
blazing lasers.
No.
That's TurboGrafx.
Blazing Star, right? Arrow Fighter.
Oh, you're talking about Neo Geo. Okay, I'm sorry.
What is? There's another one that
is Neo Geo 16-bit though. That's not a 16-bit console, is it?
Well, it's kind of They call it 24, but it is 16-bit. But what's interesting is,
but it does stuff that like the Sega Genesis can't do.
Well, what I was going to say, what's fascinating is the Neo Geo has a beefed up processor that's exactly the same one the Genesis has. So
interesting.
It's almost like a Genesis Pro. It's almost like
because the way it does like the scaling and everything, it's so much better and faster. That's why somebody asked before. That's why I left it off, because I was going to put it on there, but I'm like, I don't really think that's a 16-bit. Plus, it's kind of unfair because most of that shit is the arcade, and if you put arcade on there, arcade smokes all of them.
Mm-hmm. So it's arcade stuff.
Yeah.
But it was funny because the Neo Geo was not that big thing.
Because it was too expensive.
Yeah.
It was way too expensive. That's why.
Yeah.
What was it, like $800 or something like that when it came out?
Let me see.
It was a lot. The games were like $200 a pop too. So.
Really?
Ray, were you trying to say something? We're talking.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask Max. So when it comes down to like your preference for Genesis, was it more just like that was what your family gave you access to, or was it your choice between Nintendo and Sega that you just
was it Sega Genesis out before Super Nintendo?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, so the Sega Genesis came out before I could even think about the Super Nintendo. And I didn't really get systems when they were very new. That was the newest system I ever had, was the Genesis, and it was Sonic. I loved looking at the Sonic commercials, and I was like, wow, seeing how fast it went. Blast processing. I don't know. Definitely. I didn't actually have that many shmups back in the day for the Sega Genesis. Now I like shmups more. But back when they were, a lot of the best were made, I wasn't valuing that much.
Dude, I didn't either. Shmups for me is something I got into later on the Sega Genesis.
Platformers and beat 'em ups were my puzzle games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think the one that I played the most was in the NES. In the original NES was Commando. But that's like the shoot 'em up that you shoot. I don't know if you guys ever played that game.
Commando, yeah. Commando. I had that on the Apple computer.
I played that game. I played that game so much. It was hilarious. I played that game.
I used to like sports games, like the NHL games on the Genesis. Oh, I love those.
Yeah, dude. All of the NHL, the Madden games, the Joe Montana football. Joe Montana back to pass.
The sports talk football.
Better hurry. You gotta do like this.
Sports talk football, man. Me and my dad used to spend hours playing that game at night. After everyone went to bed.
Everyone's saying rip Twitter. Did it go down yet?
What happened?
Well, why would it be down?
They're saying that the decisions that it's off topic, but they said it might go down as early as tonight. Everyone keeps just saying it.
People are dramatic.
Right now.
It's not fucking going anywhere.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. I actually. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask Sai. If I take it that you're around for like a lot of these console launches. So were you just more?
That's one way of calling someone really old.
I was gonna say she's calling you old, Cyrus.
Well, you said Apple Computer. I was like,
I'm not debating you, Ray. I'm not debating you.
I'm gonna clip that out as a short. That's amazing.
So I guess my point is, like, even when the SNES dropped, like a couple years after the Genesis, were you still just like, nah? I mean, SNES is cool, but you were still like, mostly like a Sega.
I'm gonna tell you something, Rhea. I'm a hardcore gaming nerd. Okay, so
you're just a fan of all of it.
Well, so when the Super Nintendo was getting ready to come out, I was vehemently opposed to it because I was like, there's too many buttons on this controller. Who's going to use a 6-button controller? That's ridiculous. And I'm like, Super Nintendo, look at this thing. It looks like crap. Who's going to buy it? Look how it's all boxy and stupid looking. And then my mom went and rented us a Super Nintendo with F-Zero and Castlevania, and we went and bought one the next day.
Betray.
Yeah, but no, I didn't give up. We still had Genesis, and I had the Turbo Duo. But like when the Super Nintendo first came out, I wasn't immediately on board. I had to play it first, and when I played it, of course, it was like, oh, what? I've never seen nothing like that. So yeah, it's an amazing system.
That always happened with everybody, because I remember being against some. I remember the Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker. I was so against that game until I played it.
Yeah,
until I played it. I even have a hat now.
well, a lot of times we gamers get really like committed to our viewpoint. We're like, this is what I have, and I love what I have, and don't challenge what I have. And then something comes along, and it's like, oh, well,
I was wrong.
Yeah, like listening to y'all describe your experiences with like early or I guess like later generation Nintendo and Sega consoles. I don't get the sense that y'all necessarily were participating in the console wars that allegedly happened during that time. It just seems like y'all were fans of all this content. So
I definitely participated.
Yeah, really? I didn't get a sense of that. I thought you were like open to all of it.
I am now.
When John said he was into Modern Warfare, he wasn't just talking about the game Modern Warfare.
So I'll kind of give my perspective on it. I don't know how many people feel this way. I was deeply entrenched in the 16-bit console wars because I had a Sega Genesis, and when I was growing up, you were allowed one console at the time. So like Nintendo, obviously for that gen, then Genesis, then PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So you had your loyalties, and then it was this back and forth, and then later as you get older, you experience things, and you get to have the other console, and it's like yeah, I've been there, I've played that game, I've been there, done that. So I'm not going to go back and argue about something that's a 30-year-old argument. I think in retrospective, both consoles are amazing, and they do it. The beauty of it is, this is the beauty of the console wars. They were different enough to create this war out of everything because they were so different. You don't really have that with Sony and Microsoft because it's like they're the same games. Like you get the Pepsi challenge, no one really knows which one you're playing unless you know which controller you're holding.
Exactly.
So I mean, everything was different from the graphics to the sound. I mean, it was just a different experience.
You're right. You could like hear a few bars of music or see just a couple of screens, and you knew what you were looking at. You were like, "Oh, this is a Genesis game," or "Oh, that's obviously Super Nintendo." I mean, yeah, it's very interesting.
Right now, we are not in the subject of the Mini, but you can actually in the Mini, you can actually change the sound, and you can hear the difference between sounds.
I noticed
and
that.
That's really dope.
Really?
I found that really dope.
We should get into that. We should talk about that Mini, the new Genesis Mini. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that's a good segue for it. So I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to get one. Cyrus, I didn't want to. Did you?
No, you know
talk your favorite shooters. No, because
you know the answer to this. We don't have to go into it.
Okay, Lords of Thunder, TurboGrafx 16 PC engine,
blah, 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 blah,
yada yada yada. But no, Cyrus has gotten me into a lot of good TurboGrafx games. He's really kind of opened my eyes to that library.
He kind of red-pilled you on TurboGrafx.
And he's even given me some horrible suggestions on some of my live streams.
Keep playing.
I don't know what you're talking about. I orange pilled him on the TurboGrafx.
He tried to red pill me on Echo the Dolphin. Like I love backseat gamers on my channel because a lot of these games I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I need all the help I can get. And Echo the Dolphin, I wouldn't know where I would have to go. Like using my sonar.
I gave up on that.
I didn't know I could talk to other dolphins, and like I was supposed to eat fish apparently, and apparently I can't breathe underwater because I'm a dolphin. There's all these logistics of the game
know.
Raya made the classic mistake we all made with Echo, which was
thinking it was a kid's game.
Yeah, you're like, this looks cute. I'll play this. I like dolphins.
The reality of it is that game is more cryptic than Simon's Quest ever was. Like that's the real reality of it.
Really, really hard.
Yeah.
Even the creator
did great. That was great.
I'm very serious. Even the creator of the game says that the game is way too difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, we can get into this Sega Genesis Mini too. I didn't get an opportunity to get one. I don't know if you still can. I know they were going to be limited.
I think you still can.
I know, Ray, you've been streaming it. Retro Complex, you said you have one. So
yeah,
I'll give the floor to Retro Complex. Just give us your overall experience with it. I don't know how familiar you are with emulation, but how does it hold up to like other forms of emulation and whatnot?
It works really good. I like the music. Not like I think this one, I have them both here. The first one had a little bit of issue with the audio. This one is just
because you can select the different audio with the new one.
And it's great. It is crisp. Another thing is the emulation is like to the point. You don't have like the lag on the buttons that the original one had. Supposedly a bunch of people are saying they had. It has this little. I didn't notice it, but a lot of people say that it has a little bit of lag when you input stuff. This one so far, I was playing. I posted a video. I was playing some shooter game. And it was for me, it was perfect. I was playing several games with this. Now, when it comes to the library, sadly, I had to say it doesn't have a lot of great games. This one has a lot of great games, or at least games that I remember perfectly, like Comic Zone. You got Earthworm. I think you have Earthworm Jim around here or something like that. No, you have Monster World. You have Mega Man, Witty Wars. And Gunstar Heroes. You got games that people used to play back in the day and still play today. This one, I feel like has good ones, but a bunch of trashy ones. That I was like, why they put this in here? I was questioning. I was actually checking all the games. I was like, why the hell they put this here? There's so many games that they could add it to this collection, and they just didn't. I don't know why.
What game have you spent the most time playing on it since you got it? If you can remember.
Let me see the name because let me see the game. I posted a video about it because I was pissed at the game, but it's really good.
I remember Final Fight CD was pretty good. That's the one game I had for Sega CD.
Yeah, but any beat 'em up is pretty good most of the time. Let me see. I'm looking for the name right now. Where is it? I was talking about it. Yeah, you can talk into it. You can find it if you want.
Oh yeah. Kent, to your point that a lot of the titles you're like wondering why did they pick these ones? I think it's because this is basically part 2 of the Genesis library that wasn't included on the first console. So a lot of them come off as deep cuts to you and certainly to me. Like there are a lot of titles on there that I never had the opportunity to even like know existed, or I might have heard in passing on other retro YouTube channels. So I can't speak to like quality necessarily because like I've only checked out maybe like 20% at most of the titles on the console so far on my channel. So there are a lot of ones that I still need to experience personally.
You know what the best reason to get this is?
What?
Sonic CD.
Oh no. John's not a fan of the Sonic CD.
Really?
Yeah,
he's got problems. I don't know.
Don't get me started. Right. I have enough enemies. I don't need more.
When he was a kid, Sonic CD had candy and was trying to get in the back of a van.
It came into my room one night. I was half asleep. Sonic CD thought I was sleeping.
It was not.
It got really fucking dark. That's all I'm saying.
Here's a list of games. I like Sylpheed.
Sylpheed's amazing.
They did.
That a shmup?
Robo-LS is Musha, bro. That's essentially the
it's Musha better. It's Musha better. Yeah.
Echo CD versions.
That's what Ray was playing. Ray was playing the CD version with the music, the really good
Truxton. That's
the music was good. Yes.
It's got Desert Strike on it.
I'm not a big fan of Truxton. I'm sorry.
Oh, they put Streets of Rage 3 on this one?
Yeah.
What's good about that is I think you could play the Japanese version.
It does. It has.
They cut out the stuff though.
They did?
Yeah, they
What
changed
stuff?
it. Streets of Rage 3 is a little infamous in Japan. It has some stuff that you wouldn't get away with today. With the
Running Thunder is the name of the game. Running Thunder.
Rolling Thunder.
I'll just say social stuff. Social stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think for me, adding on to what Ken mentioned about a lot of these more obscure titles that I never really heard of. Still have to make my way through the library, obviously. But as far as like the build quality and comfort of the controller, I was a little concerned that the weight wouldn't be as comfortable long term playing, but I got used to it over time. So I tend to really not like weighted controllers necessarily, but ones that since I'm more of a handheld player, ones that I can actually grip and feel some sort of weight around. But other than that, the buttons response rate, to Ken's point, very
accurate,
crisp, very accurate. And
you know what I realized? I'm sorry, go ahead, keep talking. I'm pulling this out. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me see. Games that I have played on it so far. I mean, I got to experience Earthworm Jim, Toe Jam and Earl. Toe Jam and Earl was, speaking of cryptic games, that was another one that I needed assistance from the audience as far as how to play that. So shout out to Uyumiko for helping me with that one. And I enjoyed that a lot of those games have a similar aesthetic as far as you could tell that was a 90s game. A lot of these a lot of cartoons and video games like the ones I just mentioned, like Earthworm Jim and Toe Jam and Earl, they just have that sort of gross out humor and sort of similar funky sort of hip hop inspired sort of soundtracks as well. So you could tell what era it came out. There was a very specific period in time in the early to mid 90s where that was a very common thing for a lot of content aimed at young people to have these tropes in it, So I appreciated that. It was like a time capsule basically.
What I was going to say, Raya, was I'm going to try and pull this up here. It looks like you're talking about the controller, right?
Yeah.
So I have let's see if I can pull it up over here. Let's do this. All right. So can you see that?
No.
Oh,
No.
might have to
All
put
right,
it
hold
on the
on.
screen.
Yeah, my fault. So I'm going to boomer this. But you see that controller there, right?
Yeah.
The boomerang.
So it looks like a Hyperkin controller. It looks almost just like it. This is a Hyperkin controller for my Genesis. I love this controller because the nice thing is it has these grips on the back.
John, I'm glad I have that exact same controller.
This is by far the best controller there is.
I was
actually got a mode button on it.
Thank you for saying that, because I was going to recommend that same controller. That you guys would not believe how much more comfortable it is with those grips on the back. It's really nice. Yeah.
No, that's sick. I was asking my audience too. I'm like, oh, there's hella multiplayer games on here. I wonder where you can get an extra controller that will be compatible with this console. And then I think someone even mentioned Hyperkin.
Hyperkin, yeah.
I have 15 of them. If any of you, I'm serious. Because I used to have a website where I sold Hyperkin products.
Oh.
And I don't have that website anymore, so I have a ass ton of Hyperkin controllers and other stuff. So Ray, if you want one, just send me a message. You could pay for shipping and just give me a couple bucks for it or whatever. But actually you might not be able to use it because it's for actual Genesis. I don't know if that has. Can you use a regular Genesis controller?
It's a USB.
On the.
It's USB.
Oh, okay. So yeah, never mind. Won't work.
USB. Just in case I have it here in front of me.
Well, the cool thing about this one is it has Retro Complex. If you could show the cartridge slot, it moves.
It moves.
That's a nice touch. Yeah.
The Japanese version, if I can recall, and Raya was talking about it. It comes with a little Sega CD, whatever, the mount in the front or the mount on the side, something like that. And you can actually hook it.
Yeah, those might be sold out. They don't function, but there's no functionality. But
those are cool.
That thing is really small. This is crazy how small that thing is.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you guys that have this Raya and Retro. Do you feel like this console is sort of the companion for the first one. Like they kind of go together. Like
That's what I
kinda...
was thinking. Was Raya was talking because in the original version and the mini one, they brought so many like bangers. Like every single game in here for me is a banger, 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 banger. And then they bring this one, and some of them are a miss, in my opinion. Like I tried to play most of it before the stream too, because I wanted to see more. But most of them I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. While in this, I had so many that I can be all day playing nonstop. So so I think it was like that. It was like, I'm gonna give you this extra, and then you buy more if you want to. The second version.
At least they didn't try to do like they didn't have any duplicate games. That would have been really frustrating.
Yeah, even with the improvements in the build
games.
quality and all that stuff, having repeat games would be really frustrating.
Yeah,
because I own both. So yeah.
That would have been so amazing if they used that little slot and did something like the Evercade, like it unlocks ROMs, and so each publisher would sell Sega packs. That would have been amazing.
You know, you brought up something there. Have you guys thought about hacking your consoles and adding ROMs?
Yes, I have thought about it. I want to put Lunar. I want to put Popful Mail. Like those are my jams. I know those are on the Japanese version that Ken was talking about, but yeah, it's not on the one I have.
The original Mini, you could just want to get that blue stick. What are they called? They have them for the PlayStation 2, and that's pretty much the easy one, right?
Yeah,
True blue.
Retro's not having it. He's not down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not down with
it. Everybody has to tell me, hack your Steam Deck. Hack yours. No, I will not. I'm sorry. No, I want it like it comes. That's how I want the experience to be.
I'm kind of with Retro Complex on this, because I feel like we live in this like world of technology where you can literally put these games on just about anything. Sometimes it's kind of nice just to have like a novelty like that, to where it's.
For that, just get this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just built to where it's, kind of how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. I mean, I can emulate on,
but it is still
4 or 5 different things.
I love the EverDrives. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah,
I still want to get a Super Nintendo one.
But you know what? I gotta say, I understand where Ray is coming from here, because if you've got something that's capable of doing something, it's hard to turn away from like trying that out, and seeing what can I do with this? What's possible? I get that completely.
The PlayStation Mini, you gotta do that one. You gotta mod that.
Yeah. Modding the PlayStation Classic has been on my to-do list, but I modded my Switch, or one of my Switches instead, and then that became my PlayStation Classic, honestly. So
don't you have the blue sticks for the PlayStation?
I haven't bought them, so the intention was to mod one of my PlayStation Classics, but then I just sort of slept on it.
I could let you borrow mine, because I haven't been using them if you'd like. I have all the true blue.
Oh, I'll have to hit you up for that so I can like do a little review for that. But what was I going to say?
Because there's no modding necessary on this.
Oh, right. You just plug it in. Okay.
Maybe you could let her borrow your Wii U also, since you're not playing that either.
No.
I have my Wii U.
Oh, bro.
I think my
Max is keeping the Wii U community alive with
those viruses have slept with me because we started this stuff, and then I kind of I know. No, my Wii U is too expensive to ship out. My wife bought it for me as our anniversary present.
I have my Wind Waker Wii U. Every time I say I have the Wind Waker
Wii U, you're
like, but Raya, do you have your console? And I'm like, I'm literally telling you I have my console.
I could add any GameCube game I want to my modded Wii U, but the only one that didn't work for some reason, I cannot get Simpsons Hit and Run. Every time
Interesting.
You can't get it to operate on the console?
That's the only one I tried to add to the Wii U, and it does not work, and it like messes up the system.
Really?
Like I have to totally delete the file or it messes it up.
Wow.
Every other game works fine. But yeah, the
Simpsons Hit and Run is a fun game.
True Blue would be easy to ship. It would be cheap to ship, and then I'll package it nice and because I haven't been playing those in a long time, and I have them all.
Nice.
Wow.
John, were you going to show something on screen?
No.
Okay.
I'm downloading thumbnails right now.
I do have a question. I do have a question.
It's something I've been wanting to do, so I'm just going to do it now.
I do have an important question that I might do a clip out of this. Is the Mini 2 the last mini console?
Hell no.
No, no.
Oh,
Like,
I
what?
think it might be.
what's the next thing? What would
I
be
don't.
next?
I don't think they're prepared for Sega
they're-
Saturn and Dreamcast and all
Well,
that.
I
I don't think
hope
they.
they do.
We never got a Master System.
We're gonna get a Mini 3.
We never got a 64, a mini 64.
Cyrus, I hate to break it to you, but
No, no,
nobody
don't
cares
say
about
this.
the Master System.
No, don't say this, John. Don't say
There's
this.
not enough people that would buy
released
that.
One, they released one in Brazil.
Look,
It
John,
has Master System games.
John.
It's a mini.
We're in the
Master
United
System.
States. We're in the
Really?
United
You
States,
have, to,
Max.
you have to. No,
John.
I know that, but you can get one.
Don't-
I looked into getting one. It's hard to
don't-
get, but you can get one.
It breaks my heart that John, this big Sega Genesis fan, doesn't respect the Sega Master
No.
System.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said there's not enough people
But you're
that will buy
disrespecting
it.
the Master System.
I didn't even know
No.
Master System existed. I didn't know Saturn existed until I started watching YouTube. That's how uneducated on Sega or inaccessible
Well,
it was
it's not
for,
your fault. It's not
for
your
the
fault,
States,
Raya.
you know?
In-
It just
in the-
wasn't
yeah.
it didn't have that huge Nintendo and PlayStation
Right.
market share for the generation I was, gaming in. So
If you
I apologize for
weren't-
my ignorance.
No.
No, no.
If you weren't someone who was there for every system launch like I was,
Oh my God.
it's hard to 'cause
I-
yeah.
I remember going to Toys R Us and playing Sonic 3D Blast on Sega CD. I'm sorry, on the Sega Saturn in the kiosk, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is Sonic in 3D. This is amazing." Because it looked like it was a shitty game on the Genesis. It's a terrible game on the Genesis, and I really wanted a Saturn, and I had a friend who his parents bought him everything. I think he was like the rich friend that had all these toys, but I think in the sad reality was like he had a terrible life and his parents just bought him a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And he had a Saturn and he had all the fucking Virtual Cop, the Virtual Fighter. There was like a pack-in disc that came with the Saturn that had all three Daytona USA.
Yeah, I had that.
He had Worldwide Soccer. He had a bunch of different games that I would go over and we would play Saturn because this is before the PlayStation came out. And I remember like just wanting a Saturn so bad. And then the PlayStation came out. And then I was like, well, fuck that Sega Saturn. That thing sucks. I want this PlayStation,
Oh.
Then I got a PlayStation. And then later on, my buddy, same friend, got a PlayStation and then sold me his Sega Saturn years later. So we were like, God, this is probably like the late 90s then. So I'm in high school at this point. So I paid him like $50 for like the Saturn and all of his games and probably like,
God damn.
I don't know, 97 or 98.
Yo.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing, right? So you fast forward, right? I still had the Sega Saturn in 2001, 2002 because it was just sitting around. I had it, and I was like, I don't really play with this thing anymore. And the Dreamcast was out, so this is a month before the Dreamcast. Like Sega's not doing consoles anymore. I take my Sega Saturn, I trade it in for a Sega Dreamcast. A month later, Sega is like, oh, we're not making consoles anymore. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I was brutalized. As much as I love Sega, I was brutalized by them. I should be going to meetings for what Sega did to me.
Well, that's what
All
this
right.
is, sort of.
Oh my God.
But now I have my Saturn. I have a Dreamcast. Thank you, Cyrus. Cyrus apparently had plenty of them just laying around and decided to
Really?
throw them my way. So I have a Dreamcast again.
Yeah.
And I just got to find a way. I think I'm gonna hook it up to my CRT. I know it's best with a VGA, but I don't know.
No,
There
they
you go,
have
Cyrus.
What is this?
This was released
Oh.
5 years ago.
Oh, okay. This is the newer Master System. Is that what this is?
Master
That's a Master
System,
System.
132 and one plug and play from Brazil.
Brazil
Oh, wow.
loves the Master System.
Is
Yeah,
that
they do.
how the Master System is shaped, or is that just like
No,
a
no,
generic
that's
No,
like a,
that's-
this is
that's-
this is like a redo.
That looks like a Chinese
no,
knockoff
it's from
shit,
Brazil.
dude.
It's from Brazil. It's from Brazil.
Yeah. But here's the interesting thing about Master System, Ray, is I don't know if you know this, but they were selling and making games for the Master System well into like the late 90s in
So
Brazil.
yeah,
I
It's
didn't
pretty
know
it's
that.
pretty crazy.
this company Tectoy,
Yeah.
they're talking about a little in chat. Tectoy had the rights to Sega stuff in Brazil, and Brazil is a big country, okay? And Sega was huge in Brazil. So they kept making games. There's newer Genesis games and Master System games that were released way past the lifespan of those consoles in Brazil. You know, like I was playing like Duke Nukem on Genesis, and
oh my god,
yeah, Tectoy put that out. Like that's what they did. So an old friend of mine from back in the day.
Oh, Duke Nukem on the Genesis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no kidding. For real.
It looks pretty good actually. It's
better than you get the ROM.
Yeah,
and work on it like an EverDrive
on regular hardware. Yes, you don't have to do anything special. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
I need to do that because I have a Sega EverDrive.
I want to thank somebody for telling me and really enlightening me about the Brazil love for the Master System and Genesis, and that's an old friend of mine, Leo DS. You guys probably remember him. He helped me learn a whole bunch of stuff.
No, I'm just kidding. Frame counter.
I'm just giving him credit for helping me and for being a big fan of the Sega stuff. Yep.
It's just a slight joke. Yes, props to Leo DS. But that's awesome.
Yeah. So Sega stuff, man, you know, not everybody loves Sega, right? Not everybody. There's still to this day, which I've discovered again recently, some problems.
Boy, did you.
Where people want to fight about Sega versus Nintendo and stuff. But I've always felt like you should, especially in this day and age, you should have both, right? You should have Nintendo stuff and you should have Sega stuff because they're doing different things. We talked about how you could identify them just by looking at them or listening to them, which one was which. And that's why they're so different. It's not like today, if you have, like you were saying, if you have a game and you don't know if it's Xbox or PlayStation unless you're holding a controller, it's not like that for these older games. There's something to be gained. There's something to get out of each version of these older games. So I think they're worth celebrating. I don't think it's something you really need to think about as a choice so much as just a lot more options, a lot more flavors.
Wasn't it easier or cheaper to be a Sega fan at that in the 90s? Like the Super Nintendo, when it first came out, it was full, you didn't get discounts and the games were pretty expensive, weren't they at start?
Well, Nintendo has, they've had that problem with the price stuff since Super Nintendo.
Well, since the NES was there for so long, you could get like used games cheap, but the Super Nintendo, I remember the Super Nintendo, just like Nintendo's games they don't get reduced now a lot. No, starting since the Super Nintendo era, those games held up price pretty. Yeah. I remember
Max,
being
to your point.
I know
people
broke.
share like KB Toys ads like randomly like for nostalgia's sake on Twitter, and I'm just like, damn, a Saturn for like $99 with 3 free games. They were like, giving these things away at one point.
I waited to get a Saturn until they put it on sale at Walmart for $150, and it came with those 3 games, and I think it came with 2 other games. I think I got 5 games with my Saturn, and I absolutely loved it, but nobody had one. I didn't know anybody that had a Saturn.
Yeah, the only one I knew, like I said, was that friend of mine. And you're right, Cyrus. There was a point where they could not give that stuff away. I remember going to, we used to go to this one flea market in our area. Yeah. It was a farmer's market. It wasn't really a flea market. It was enormous. And they had everything there from like pets to tech toys it was crazy. Auto parts. But anyways, there was this guy there had like a whole section, and it was nothing but video games. At the time, it was PS1, Genesis, Nintendo. And I remember he had like Sega CD and Sega Saturn stuff, and they were like $1. And they would just sit there. We'd go there like once a month, and it'd be the same games every month. They just sat there. No one. I
want to cry.
yeah, and you do. And I bet like I would love to just like go back and like. When I die and I get like have to see my life play through my eyes or whatever, I want to pause it and look in that fucking bin and see what games were in there, because there's probably like Panzer Dragoons, like all kinds of crazy shit now that's just like crazy expensive.
Well, because Saturn had this stigma because people didn't catch on. PlayStation was hot, and then Nintendo 64 came out, and it was like, oh my god, this is the future. and everybody was like, Saturn. Because the problem they had was they kept trying to put out games on Saturn that were also on PlayStation, and the Saturn hardware was good, but when you put it right next to the PlayStation, a lot of times the games didn't look as good. You know, they didn't have the same graphics. You know,
so Cyrus, TurboGrafx 16 is losing right now in the poll.
I understand. I understand. You know, I know what crowd is coming here. It's cool.
I thought what Joshua Perez says, we need a Sega collection just as good as the Atari collection. They actually have one in Switch. Like I buy a collection and they had it, and the cartridge is better because it brings more games. And I think there were solid games in that collection. So
you know, there are.
Does anyone have the Atari collection?
I haven't got the new one. No.
This is blasphemy, sir.
I know.
Jaguar was not better than the Saturn.
Whoa,
that is besides Cyrus.
Mr. Poopy Pants is just trying to have Cyrus
my mom to buy me that console. I was begging my mom to buy me that console, and thank God I dodged that bullet.
The Atari Jaguar. I have a pretty good Jaguar collection, and I enjoy it. But I will tell you this: I do not recommend the Jaguar to people. Because I like it and it's fun to me because I have this nostalgia thing, you know, and all that. But it's it's not better than the Saturn. I'm sorry, it's not. No.
I just remember seeing the commercials and they're trying to teach me how to do math, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Yeah, no shit. 32, 64 is better than 32.
The lady with the one eye that's like twitching. Jaguar. You're like, okay, I get it. It's called Jaguar. You know?
And for me, like, because you know, for me, as somebody who missed the Atari gaming age and missed the 70s and very early 80s era of gaming, I thought that was just old junk. Like Atari was just, to me, was just an old name that reminded me of like old crappy technology, you know.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, Cyrus.
I know
So I was like, yeah.
All right.
you know one that I wish I would have is and I think it would have been cool if they would know how to do the whole thing, is the Virtual Boy. I always thought that idea was great. Just didn't know how to go about it.
The Virtual Boy?
Yeah.
You know, the problem with the Virtual Boy was that they tried to tell us it was a portable system. It wasn't portable. I played one at a Sears once, and you literally had to like lock your head into it. And it was weird. But there was also like all these rumors about it that scared people, because people were like, oh, you can't play it for long or you'll go blind, and
they will make you dizzy. I know, because I play with one. And it's weird how it fits in your face and stuff. Yeah. And it will make me dizzy. I don't know other people, because I cannot watch movies in 3D.
Right.
Because movies in 3D make me dizzy. So it could be that. But I think the idea was great. It's still great.
The only thing worse than the Virtual Boy was, I don't remember what it was called, but it was this thing you put on your head, right? And it had a wire that went down to a controller. And there was a little piece that came down and it sat in front of your eye. And the game.
Is this real?
Yes.
Yes. It's real.
I don't remember the name of it. My buddy had the same rich kid I was telling you about. Had one on the bus one day. You know what? Take it home.
I remember,
but it was all that. It was that red color, and there was like Mario games and shit on there.
Okay. Yeah. What was that called?
It's the
R-Zone.
Was it the R-Zone?
Yeah.
Maybe it was the R-Zone.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I have 2 Super Scopes and 1 box.
Yep, that's what it was. It was the R-Zone. Yeah.
You know what the problem with the Super Scope was, Max? You would never remember.
Oh, it's made by Tiger. Okay.
Yeah, Tiger.
So yeah, R-Zone is made by Tiger. Interesting.
Huh. Yeah, the problem with the Super Scope is I never remembered to turn the power off on that switch, and it took 6 AA batteries. And every time you forget to turn the power off, it would drain all those batteries. Good times.
I found did any of y'all own a Nomad, or what was the other one?
Yes,
Oh,
I
the
sold it
Nomad.
recently.
Game Gear or
Man.
Nomad.
I used to want a Game Gear.
I have a Game Gear. It's that's a classic system. I love the Game Gear. The Nomad it came out so late. Like when
I sold my Game Gear to get a Nomad at the game store.
the Nomad came out after nobody cared about Genesis. Like when people had already moved on to, I mean, I'm not saying nobody, but when people had moved on to other things, it came out in like 95 or something like that. Like
I still have my Game Gear carrying case. That's it.
Man, my Game Gear, the Game Gear has the problem that the screen and the top gets broken. I don't know why. Yeah, it gets broken. It's like a black line.
Like dead pixels?
No, like a black, like a dead pixel, but like a whole line.
It's a LCD. It's just not. It's old technology.
Well, I looked in the eBay because you could ship them to someone and then repair it and send it back with good ratings. But I was like, I'm just gonna sell my Nomad because my Nomad with the screen looked horrible. It still worked, and then also the direction pad was like weird.
Oh,
like you hit left, and it would go right. Like every once in a while, it would just weird. Yeah.
Oh, you had drift on your Game Gear?
Yes.
Nomad drift. Nomad drift.
Oh my god! You know that the Game Boy, the Swish drift is just they did really bad because I buy a knockoff from China. I replace it with a knockoff of those, and I had never had that drift anymore. And with the Orino
you
one,
repaired your own Joy-Con?
I repaired my own Joy-Cons and everything, and I changed it to ones that I bought from Amazon, and never again drift no more.
Dr. Blue, if they had Kasumi Ninja on there, it would sell so many more copies, I think.
They're saving that for the next collection release next year.
It's not great. It's not great.
It's just weird and it's
okay. It's not great. I was gonna say, Max, if you have a Nomad with drift, then you just have a Mad. It's not a Nomad.
But
never mind.
I found this article.
I've been there since every game system launched.
This has all the Genesis shmups on it.
Oh my God.
Thunder Force 4. This is the one I like. Eliminate Down. Musha.
So I gotta ask, like, for me, because I'm just like, barely now experiencing a lot of shoot 'em ups. Apparently there are like different ones that like are called like bullet hells, like some that where I'm feeling overwhelmed. Apparently that gets even worse on some games. So like, are any of these considered bullet hells?
It's an interesting designation, and I think there's probably some debate about what a bullet hell is and isn't. Like
you could barely move like a couple pixels and go back to the right. I hate that.
Well, no, okay, I don't know if you're familiar with like Dodonpachi on Saturn, but that's considered a bullet hell. And the only reason why I think that might be considered a bullet hell is just because of how fast the game moves.
Yeah.
Other than that, like I don't know. I think that's the only designation because everything about the game is just like any other shoot 'em up. I mean, there are parts in that game where you literally can't move and avoid getting hit unless you utilize like an area of attack.
Let me say something about this. So on my screen, I have Lords of Thunder playing, and Lords of Thunder is what I would consider a traditional shoot 'em up, where you navigate through different areas, you run into various different enemies. A lot of the gameplay consists of moving around the screen and fighting the enemies and dodging certain projectiles, but there's a lot of things that happen and the environment changes and stuff like that. A lot of these bullet hells, there's really not a lot. See how like the screen was going one way, now it's going another way. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of these bullet hells don't do that. They just throw enormous amounts of bullets at you. And you have to figure out how to dodge the pattern of things that are coming at you. So to me, that's probably the biggest way that I identify a bullet hell is I just say, is it one of these games where it's really less about navigating and more about just dodging bullets?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're typically much more chaotic though than your standard like shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of titles, but I cannot come up with any title. But I think it's freaking Binding of Isaac, the last boss of Binding of Isaac. That's a bullet hell, and that's horrifying because there's so many bullets coming at you.
Ikaruga, Mr. Clean Pants says Ikaruga. That's a good example of a bullet hell.
Yeah, BioPhoenix mentioned Pocky and Rocky. I played the Switch port of that, and yeah, I'm still getting acclimated to how like shoot 'em ups are, played because it does sometimes feel overwhelming to shoot as well as like navigate around being shot at. So that was one that Xander Scullion recommended to me and I checked out. So yeah, I do want to pick it back up, but big fan of the cute 'em ups for sure, but they do come out they lure you in with like they lured me in with the cute graphics, but then all of a sudden I'm just like, oh god, all these threats
they are
are
diabolical.
coming after me.
Those are the SNES carts I regret selling is my Pocky Rocky 1 and 2.
We lost
his connection, he'll probably be back.
Okay. Yeah, the cute 'em ups are usually the hardest ones. They pull this crap on you because they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, everything's fine. Look at the pretty colors. Oh, look, it's
That's
not.
me,
Don't
yes.
worry. Oh, don't worry, it'll be fun. You're a witch on a broom. Everything's fine. Don't worry. Yeah.
Oh, it's on Game Pass. Vampire Survivors, Severos.
Or,
I'm telling you, I'm learning about a
or-
bunch of new games that I never heard.
If it's on Game Pass, I'll go check it out right away. There's also another Game Pass game coming soon. Is the new Gungrave?
Gungrave, yeah.
It's a Sega game after the Dreamcast. It's almost.
It's an anime too.
It's an anime. It's like a stylish like Devil May Cry, but it's very slow paced. Like it's got action and guns. Almost like Bayonetta, but it's like a slow version of Bayonetta. He's basically got like a coffin that he has guns in and stuff, I think.
Oh,
There you go, Raya. I sent that in private.
Dr. Blue
I'll
brings
check
up.
it out. I'm gonna open it on the tab. Well,
Dr.
not like yeah.
Oh.
Oh, go
Dr.
ahead.
Blue brings up Trevor McFur for the Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar. Trevor McFur is one of the weirdest games. It's a shoot 'em up on the Jaguar, and it looks like all the graphics for the game were just thrown together from clip art from like Adobe or something. I mean, it's really hilarious. Like the game is weird, but it's fun. It's and a lot of times these games are just weird looking, but they're actually a lot of fun.
Like the chicken game, what is Alien Soldier? You have played that one?
Yes, Alien Soldier. Yes.
So weird.
The chicken game.
It looks like a chicken.
This game looks awesome.
Oh yeah, I opened it on my
kinda
tab
good.
and I was just like, damn, this looks fun.
They had a VR one that I never tried, but this is like old school Gungrave.
Yeah, this
was a cult classic for a while.
Yeah,
I'm gonna refer to Alien Soldier as the chicken game from now on.
Yeah, it looks like a chicken.
That's funny. That is a really fun game too. And
Yeah,
it is.
Hello from Portugal. Awesome.
But
I can't wait. I'm so happy this is coming to Game Pass. I just found out today.
They drop up physical. I may buy it because I missed the
I
first
would
one. I never
love
was
to
able
buy
to play the
physical,
first
but I
one.
stopped buying physical.
I keep buying and buying. So
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering addict.
Me and Max have a problem. We have a problem.
I know. I have your old PS5, and your old PS5 says
There you
hello to
go.
your new PS5, Cyrus.
there you go.
Max got me a couple of my my.
Well, I didn't get it for you. You paid for it, but I paid the shipping.
He found me some of my Jaguar games. If it wasn't for Max, I wouldn't have Raiden, and I wouldn't have NBA Jam. And those
And
are
I stopped
two.
going to that shop because I find stuff there all the time.
I told you, don't sell me
Someone
anything else.
sold their old So the last time I was in that shop, it was just to sell only and not get credit. Because my wife was like, "This is how you get in your problems. You take the store credit because they give you so much more." And when I was in there, they had someone sold their whole TurboGrafx 16 collection. And I was like, I am not taking pictures. I'm not telling Cyrus.
Thank you for not doing that.
They had legit stuff in there.
My God, who would do that? I'd have to be on my deathbed. I'd be like, okay, call my daughter.
I sold
Come
my
get the
Saturn
TurboGrafx.
collection, and I sold my Pocky and Rocky. and I love those games.
I'm never gonna do that again. I don't care. They had to bury me with my shit.
How many things
bury
have you
me
sold?
with my games?
Let me ask you this question: how many things have you sold retro and regret? You regret so much.
My 64, I sell it with so many games, and I hit my hair up to this day. Every time I think about it, my Nintendo, I sold it too because I thought I was never gonna play it again. And
I sold my Nintendo 64 collection the last few years, and then I bought Nintendo 64 EverDrive, and I bought a modded gold N64 Japanese version.
Nice.
It has the Ultra HDMI in it, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna sell it to make room.
No,
and then I'm
What,
gonna
you
play
sold
that.
that?
I'm gonna no. I sold my Nintendo 64 collection, boxed and everything.
Right.
That way, I'll play them in the best quality. It's all about playing the games instead of owning them.
I understand. I agree with you. And I'm not saying, look, everybody loves games the way they love games, and collecting and all that is great. I'm really not a collector. I like to play the games. So I'm a big EverDrive guy. I believe in that. That's been a great solution for me. But people that want to own the carts, I own a whole bunch of carts for a lot of systems too, and I love it. And the consoles that I own a bunch of carts for, I really would not want to go back to. I just like the carts, and so I see both sides to it. I absolutely do.
Nintendo 64 is crap, and I know crap. I don't. It has games like Donkey Kong 64 was amazing. Banjo Kazooie was amazing. It had a lot of games that were amazing. Then Super Mario 64, like it was one of the biggest thing back in the day. Like
that's the one that I got cheated on because the seller at the game store is the Donkey Kong 64 complete, even with the RAM cart in it. And I should have sold it separately because I saw the same store sell just the RAM cart for like $60 to $80.
God damn!
And it was the yellow cart. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, well, it came in the box, so I should sell it with the. I think the person that was buying it didn't consider that, and I should have sold it separately.
Yeah, I sold a bunch of stuff a few years back and regret every single thing that I sold because I sold it right before retro stuff took off.
Oh my god! And it doesn't piss you off now.
Oh my god!
It pissed me off so much.
Oh, you don't even know.
The PlayStation 1 ones I regret are Klonoa.
Oh my god. No way.
And Elemental Gimmick Gear, which was a light gun game by Square.
Do you know how much Klonoa's worth?
I know.
It's really expensive.
I wonder if because the collection with the PS2 game and the PS1 game came out on Switch, I know me and Ken both have that. Did the price go down or not?
No.
It went up?
It just makes the price get worse because people go, oh, well, I want the original. Everybody's like, oh, well, I want the original. Well, good luck with that. Yeah.
And
that's the one I really want to get is the Klonoa collection on physical. And I didn't because I'm not buying stuff. And then I also want to get, because they finally have it on physical, is Cuphead. And I'm like, oh.
Cuphead, I got it. I got it physical. I have to have it. I love Cuphead.
I'm still holding back. I'm like, damn it.
I got it.
There's some stuff that's coming out that I'm like, ugh. But I love Klonoa. I actually really like the Game Boy Advance Klonoa games. I think I still have one of them.
Well, don't worry. If you want to buy a used copy of Klonoa for regular PlayStation, you can get one on eBay for about $300 right
now.
Oof.
No.
Wonder how that disc quality is, though.
I have the GameCube version of Klonoa, but it's not the OG graphics.
Oh, it is.
I mean, the Wii version. I'm sorry.
Nintendo 64 is better than PlayStation. My PlayStation 1, and I'm going to be legit, my PlayStation, and I still have them here, that was my RPG machine. Like, the only games that I play in that PlayStation was RPGs.
Oh my god, the role-playing games on the PS1 are fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all I play back then. Like RP.
You know what's so funny about
Breath
that?
of Fire 3, bro. I know I'm just barely learning about this, but I'm just like, why are not more people talking about this?
You want to know something hilarious? Is the first year the PlayStation was out, there was no RPGs.
Really?
That Sony was against putting RPGs.
PlayStation or Final Fantasy 7 saved it, right?
No.
Oh,
The Beyond the Beyond was the very first one that showed up, and it was because Sony actively stopped RPGs from coming out on PS1 because they were like, we only want arcade style games. We only want that. And then the RPGs were out in Japan and doing really well, and everybody kept asking and asking. And finally, they started trickling them out. And it was like Beyond the Beyond, and like King's Field came out. When Final Fantasy 7 came out, that was when Sony was like, well, I guess we were totally wrong because Final Fantasy 7 is what it is what it is. But yeah, in the beginning, this console that has all of these amazing RPGs, nothing. There was nothing. It was crazy.
There's a lot of good ones on the Saturn too. That's what a lot of people don't realize is the amount of it, and that have been translated now too.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. There's so many that we never got that now we can play, and that's amazing. The translated RPGs for the Super Nintendo also. There's so many Super Famicom RPGs that came out that we never got that have been translated now that you can play. Another great reason to own an EverDrive or to do something like that.
I think even my PlayStation 2 was I have to check, but mostly my collection is RPGs in the PlayStation 2. I got adventure games and stuff, but it's the PlayStation for some reason had the best, but at least in my opinion, one of the best RPs all the time. Like,
whoa, King Sport Calls, calm down, man. No. Oh my
and
God.
you just
whoa.
It's just been revoked.
Them is fighting words around these parts, boy.
How dare you?
Final Fantasy is a lie. This fantasy seems to never end.
Someone asked what Kingdom Hearts came out on. I think that initially came out on the Wii, didn't it?
PlayStation 2.
No, PlayStation 2.
Was it PS2? Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter was really big into those. She loved those.
I never got into them.
It's really good. It's a really good series. It got at the end, but it's a really good series.
John, I know that Max isn't like super big into RPGs, but what are your thoughts on them?
I hate turn-based JRPGs. I can't get into them.
My chest.
I'm sorry.
I don't like menus.
For me, they're like it's like playing a text puzzle. I don't like playing them. Here's the thing.
I respect them.
Right? Same. I don't feel like I'm playing a video game when I play those games. I feel like I'm playing a board game.
Menus.
Yeah. So like a lot of them like look great. Final Fantasy 7. I've never got more than 30 minutes into that game because it's a turn-based RPG.
Wow.
So
the worst ones are the ones that like tactical RPGs.
But now you talk about games like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, stuff like that. I love games like that.
And that's the great thing.
RPG.
That's the great thing about games is there's something for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, but it is hurtful.
So I actually fell asleep one time on stream. Someone said play. There was a turn-based JRPG on the 360 called something Odyssey. The very popular one.
On what console?
It's on the 360. It's a beautiful looking game, but it's something Odyssey. I can't remember the name of it. I think BioPhoenix in the chat actually recommended it to me. Now I was like, you know what? I'll play it. I streamed it on Twitch because at the time I was playing it. I can't remember if I was playing it on my Xbox One and it was backwards compatible. I fell asleep playing the game, like just wandering around. I fucking fell asleep. Thankfully, there was like 2 people watching the stream. Lost Odyssey, that was it. And I actually fell asleep twice playing that game. And I can't do it, man.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like let's battle this huge epic looking boss. Okay, now go through a menu. I'm like, no. No, I want to hit him with my sword. I don't want to select a menu item to hit a sword.
Meanwhile,
I will play Mario. I will play Mario RPG. That is one turn-based game that I do like. I do enjoy that one, but just probably because it's a Mario game.
Mario was trying to sell me on that new Mario Rabbids game. I'm like, what exactly is Mario Rabbids? She's like, well, it's like
a tactical
RPG. She's like, no. It looks cool.
So did you say tactic is he's not and blocked. You're like, what?
It's actually really fun. I play it. It's good.
Yeah. Okay.
But like games like Dark Souls and stuff like that, that's the new RPG era, and that's what remember, Raya, that the video that I say that RPGs are dying little by little.
You made 2 videos, but yes, I remember both.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that is I don't think people have the patience for games that they used to.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And B, a lot of developers these days don't like taking risks on new games, new big blockbuster type games, because it's not. They have to spend so much money. It's like making a movie.
Yeah,
you know, they have to spend all this money to make these games and it might not be successful, or they could reskin like some battle royale game, spend a quarter of the price on it, and it could make them fucking $1 billion on loot boxes. So
aren't the Western RPGs messing with it too? Like they're pretty much the big open world ones are kind of like.
You talking about like an Assassin's Creed type game when you say Western RPGs? I'm assuming.
Fallout,
like Elden Ring or something. Or
no. That's a Japanese. Elden Ring's a Japanese developer. That's FromSoft.
I know, but the reason I say it is because like Fallout and
Elder Scrolls and stuff.
Elder Scrolls and all that.
Like
Sort of,
yeah. Well, I can't get into Fallout just because I feel like I don't know. Again, there's not, for me, when I play those games, there's just not a lot of substance to them.
Play New Vegas.
So I get bored with them very quickly.
You should try New Vegas. Vegas. Because the third one, I was like, it was good, but I was like, eh. When I played New Vegas, I was like, oh shit, this. You know
what, John? I think in order to really appreciate those kind of games, you have to kind of just be in a mood where you just want to go like explore stuff and just like find things to do. Like it's like one of those games where you're just
but see, okay, yes, and that's why I loved Elden Ring, because Elden Ring is exactly that. It drops you in a map. It doesn't tell you shit. It's like Zelda. Go find shit. The original Zelda did not tell you where to go. You just fucking figured it out. And that's exactly how Elden Ring was. Games like Assassin's Creed and some of these other ones I played, they hold your hand to the point where it's not fun. Like it's just telling me to go to this waypoint on the map, go to the next waypoint, go to this waypoint. It doesn't give me any like initiative or drive to just explore the world. So that's why I have a lot of problems with them, because they get boring. Like I don't want to be told where to go. I want to be able to just figure it out.
So you like soul games, basically. That's your
not all of them.
It's more an action RPG. If we're talking about Souls game, it's action RPG.
Well, some of the Souls games are more linear. They're more like you progress, whereas like Elden Ring is like my brother's really talking about Elden Ring with me a lot lately because he's playing it, and I'm remembering all these conversations that I had with John, because John was telling me the exact same stuff. You got to play this game. You got to play. I'm like, all right, I understand. I got you. But what he was telling me was the reason he likes Elden Ring better than the Souls games is because Elden Ring is very much like you can try to do something, and if you get bored with it, or if it's hard, or if you
do something else,
just go do something else.
The other Souls games, like for example, the other Souls games are very linear. They're level based pretty much. And
Sekiro
if you get to a boss and you can't beat the boss, guess what? You're gonna fucking be fighting this boss until you figure this shit out. Elden Ring, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm not strong enough for this boss. I'm gonna go grind. I'm gonna go level up my weapons. And there's fucking 10 hours of shit you can do in the meantime. Right. And then you can go back to the boss and then whoop his ass. Yeah. So that's what I liked about Elden Ring.
Yeah. Freaking Elden Ring, I played 139 hours.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 120, dude. I played it originally on PS4, and I just upgraded my gaming PC. I just got a brand new gaming PC, and I'm actually considering just rebuying it and just playing it from start again. But I have so much, dude. I'm like so OP. I mean, as OP as you can be in a Souls game, because I'm in like New Game plus or whatever. And I'm like, do I really want to go back and just start over?
Nah.
Like
Joshua Perez, Zelda is not an RPG. Well, Zelda 2 was.
Well,
I get this feeling about open world games too, where it feels more generic sometimes to me. Some of these open world games feel a little more generic, whereas more structured. That seems open world, but it's really focused game.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer like some of the Ubisoft open world or feel sort of samey.
Most of the Ubisoft games are the same. It's just go to this point, go to the next one, go to here, grab the sword,
it's a
go back.
waypoint checkpoint game, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have to ask, since we brought it up, Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
I like saying Ubisoft, but I heard it was Ubisoft.
I always just say Ubisoft. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think there's a video where the people at Ubisoft can't even agree on how
I need a new I need a new Rayman game.
Thank you.
Versus Rabbids or
no.
Mario and Rabbids with
I'm sick of Rabbids. Ever since they introduced Rabbids, that's what
annoying.
Oh man, I want a Rayman game. I love Rayman.
Oh, Rayman is great on Jaguar.
Better on the Saturn. It's better on the Saturn.
It is better on the Saturn. You're right.
Ooh.
But I call it Ubisoft because it's ooh. In Spanish, ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
It's just interesting how people will say it differently.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
Well, I don't speak Spanish and I say Ubisoft, so you must be right.
Yeah.
Is there any gaming that's on your to-do list that you would like to get into?
Well, that brings me to our last topic, Max, and that's kind of going to be. I don't know if we're going to have the show next week, but we'll figure something out.
If we do, I might do it. Well, because John's a family guy, and me and my wife we celebrate, but then we might hang out. So I might still run a show next week if people still want it. But
we'll figure it out. We'll make an announcement. I think there might be something. But next Friday is Black Friday already.
Oh, really?
And, yeah.
I have to stay away from the sales.
I know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I wanted to ask the panel what's some and chat for that matter. What are some of your goals this year for Black Friday? Do you plan on picking anything up? Is there any deals on your radar?
My plan is to avoid it because that's where I spend the most. I'm like, oh, it's on sale.
I'm in dire need of external storage for my PC and additional like a 1 terabyte micro SD card for my Switch. So those are going to be the ones that I keep an eye out for. Yeah, more storage.
That's you know what, Raya? That's a good point because I don't know what storage you have. What size storage do you have in your PC?
2 terabyte. That's nothing.
Oh,
these
got
days.
it. Yeah, I have 1.
I got 1 terabyte.
So, I have 2.
RIP.
I have 2 in my laptop, in my gaming laptop. I have a laptop and a desktop. My desktop is significantly better.
But you got a tower. You got a tower, right?
Yeah. I
so
built a tower about a month
you can
ago.
add more because I got hard drives. I got 1, 2, 3, 4,
I added
5, 6 hard drives.
Yeah, I actually added space to my laptop recently too.
Oh, okay.
Retro has a tower made of nothing but hard drives.
But I do want to get another SSD. From my experience, 2 terabytes is usually fine for me, especially on my gaming desktop because I just keep my modern games on there, and I mostly game on like Game Pass and Steam, and I can always uninstall and reinstall stuff if I need to. But no, that's actually a good point, Raya, because I didn't even think of that. And I don't really have any games on my radar other than actually nothing really. I mean, hopefully Steam has some decent sales from like maybe some indie titles or something.
I'm looking for 2 deals. I'm looking for that Ninja Turtle Cowabunga physical, and the Atari one. That I'm looking for the Switch for both of those 2.
My only concern with the Atari one is it just came out. I'm curious if that'll get a sale or not.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
From all the leaks I've seen so far, like the sales that I've seen, it's all stuff that I've played already, and it's like games that are a year or 2 old or older. Man, I remember a couple years ago in like 2016, like a game would come out in October and it'd be like $30 on Black Friday, and it's like,
dude,
holy shit.
All the Call of Duty, Battlefield 1, like all those games, they came out and within like a month they were half price, and it was it was crazy.
Cult of the
I
Lamb.
guess-
If you guys have not played that game, you guys should play it. Cult of the Lamb. Cult of
Cult
the
of
Lamb.
the-
Oh yes,
Cult
I
of the
enjoyed that a
Lamb.
lot. Yeah,
Really?
it's great.
Amazing. I love that game.
Okay. I try to stay away from cults these days.
Eh,
I've abandoned a few cults myself. Yes, I'm cult free now, I think.
it just depends on who you ask, I guess.
Anyway,
That game.
Why do the next gen consoles, the manufacturers, because there's a lot of resale, why don't they have like a super PlayStation 5 with like 4 SSD for $1,000 or something? Why don't they do something like that? Because that would be amazing. You spend all this money, you buy this console, and you're gonna eventually buy more storage. Why don't they do that?
Max, have you upgraded your SSD on your
No.
PS5? Me neither. I still haven't done that.
I have external for the PS4 games I play on the PS5. But I haven't. I do want to upgrade it eventually. That's the one thing I like. Yeah, Raya, you're right. Storage, especially with these, because most of my games come from Game Pass or PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
You know the great thing about the Switch though is if you buy the physical games, you don't have to have nearly as much space. You know, like
Thank you, Cyrus.
Yeah,
That really helps me out.
Yes, mission accomplished.
You know something I really wanted that I missed out on was the Nintendo Online. I really wanted a Sega Genesis Nintendo controller.
Oh yeah, or that
they're sold
the
out
N64
still, and the
controller.
N64 one too.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good point, Jay. Witcher 3 and Witcher 3 just got new updates.
Oh, that's
So
right. Yeah.
They just you know what? Good looking out, because I'm gonna look for that one, because I bought Witcher 3 on PS4 probably 3 or 4 years ago. I paid $9 for it and never even booted the damn thing up. And if it comes out to PC and I can play it with all the ray tracing and updated graphics, I will 100% do that, because it is a game I've been wanting to get into, and I think it's one that could really just suck me in.
So when we were talking about shooters originally, and I know Ray, you haven't played a lot of shoot 'em ups, but like I'm curious. I know I'm kind of going back to this, but like what would you say is your favorite shooter if you had to pick one from that era? Like I didn't want to end the stream without coming back to this topic. Because there's so many really awesome shooters from that 16-bit era on the different consoles. But I think I'm curious to know, like, if you had to have just one of them, which one would you pick as your favorite?
I mean, for me, I honestly couldn't give you an
which
authentic answer, because a lot of these games are.
You played. You said
I played it, but I don't have enough experience with it to really like genuinely say that's my favorite.
For Rhea, which one have you seen that has you most intrigued? Which one have you seen that you've been like, oh, that looks interesting. That looks like something I might want to play. Like,
so I think it was a game on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini that I borrowed from Max, that I fully intend on returning, by the way.
Oh no,
again.
I know. You were the one I worry about the least when I let people borrow. That's why I'm like, oh, I'll send you this. Yeah, we'll enjoy your trip, and then when you come back, we'll figure that out.
But yeah, to answer your question, Sai, so like it's kind of a platformer and a shooter together. You might know what I'm talking about. It's that Valkyrie game. I forget the name of it. I'm sure if someone did it, it's on the TurboGrafx Mini. If you look up Valkyrie TurboGrafx 16, it should pop up. But basically, the character is she's moving around like a top-down Zelda game, and then she's also like shooting the enemies.
Oh, Pika, yeah. Pika, that's on the Saturn too. That was an arcade game, wasn't it? Pika, I don't know how the fuck you say it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that one, it felt a little like
something.
it felt a little easier as far as like the acclimation of like, okay, we're not gonna bullet hell you right out the gate, but we're gonna like put you in positions where you're shooting enemies while also platforming. So I was just like, oh, this is like an interesting mix of these two genres, top down platformer and shooter. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yes, Valkyrie no Densu. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a good game. There's I think there's a Saturn port of that game too.
What is your favorite shooter, John? Like of all the shooters from that era?
Jesus. My favorite?
Yeah, just one. You just got to pick one. That's it. Sorry.
I
Everything
can't
else
do
goes
that,
in the
dude.
fire.
That's like asking me to pick which kid I have to keep, bro.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. This is like
Yeah, I can't do that.
You pick
I can't
one.
do that,
all
dude.
other shooters go in the fire.
No, I can't. It wouldn't be a 16. Are you asking me my favorite
just for
of
this
16?
just for this era. Just for this era. 16.
Oh my god.
You got to don't even think about it. Just whatever comes to your mind.
Blazing Lasers
Okay, Blazing Lasers.
on the PC Engine.
Retro.
TurboGrafx 16. And I know I'm being contradictive because I voted for the
I did. I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did, and I'm literally playing Blazing Lasers right now.
Retro.
I will have to say R-Type because it's the one that I actually play the most. I play the shit out of R-Type.
You know what? I've never played a bad version of R-Type. Even like the lower end versions.
I could never get into some of the older ones, man. They're just
the Master System R-Type is surprisingly good. I'm just saying, even that one. So, Max, do you have something?
Blazing Star. I mean, sorry,
that's a good one.
Because
that game trolls you when you suck at it. Bonus.
That's one to try out too, and it's in Neo Geo. It's some of the best graphics.
It's a beautiful game.
Not saying that you need easy, but it's an easy game to complete.
Let me see.
Did they make a Neo Geo Mini?
I'm gonna show you.
No, people want that.
Hell yeah!
Actually, there are some things that are like that. It's not necessarily a Neo Geo Mini, but there are.
It looks like the Astro City, the arcade thing.
Well, there's a few different versions.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I remember. Yes, they keep re-releasing it in different colors and stuff.
Yeah, there's different. There's one that looks like an AES that has a little portable, like handheld game in it.
That's the Neo Geo X, isn't it?
Yeah. I had that and I sold it.
Yeah.
You guys ever play this game?
Neo Geo X Gold.
What that?
What is it? I can't see it.
Soulfies?
No, Soul Divide.
Soul Divide. No.
This game is annoying. It's a shoot 'em up. It's annoying as fuck.
Oh, it's annoying.
You want to be annoyed? Play this game.
Okay.
That's how I am with Einhander. Like I want to like Einhander, but the game is so fucking hard.
I regret selling that one too. I sold that one.
So retro, what game did you pick? You said
you said R-Type.
Right?
R-Type, that's right.
R-Type, at least the Super Nintendo one.
Okay, and
you said. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I was just gonna say I was probably looking. I shouldn't be looking on the PlayStation Store. That R-Type Final that was released a few years ago with all the DLC is $30 right now.
Oh, nice.
It's usually 60 with all the DLC. I'm like, damn it.
So Max, you said a Neo Geo game. That doesn't count though. We're talking the 16-bit home consoles here.
Then it would be Eliminate Down or one of the riding games.
Okay. Eliminate Down's really good.
Hey, let me ask you: do you consider games like Afterburner?
And, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Are those considered like shoot 'em up games or like Super Thunderblade stuff like that? I mean,
I think so. I think they are obviously different perspective and all that, but I still think they're shoot 'em ups. Yeah, Galaxy
because they don't ever really seem to be talked about much.
Space Harrier.
Yeah, Space Harrier. When you really talk about the topic.
Okay, I remember what the game is now.
Next time we have Ray and Retro back, we gotta do platformers.
Hell yeah!
Platformer RPGs.
We can get.
Oh, you don't like platformers, Retro?
Yeah, no, that platformer RPGs, everything of that.
We got to remember to give Max hell about Klonoa. Don't forget about that.
So yeah, I was. That was when I was off for a few minutes. How much is the PS1 version of Klonoa going for? Because a couple of years ago, I had that game and it was not expensive at all.
The cheapest I've seen it on eBay is about $300.
Are you fucking kidding me? Wow.
I also sold Toomba.
PlayStation has.
Oh my god, he sold Toomba. You kidding me? You joking?
No.
What happened?
Oh my god, you're a crazy man.
No, back in the day, I didn't sell like when it was worth a lot.
You sold what?
Toomba 2.
As if that makes it better.
To get my Nintendo 64 stuff, and then I sold my Nintendo 64 stuff to get Dreamcast because Dreamcast was my first day one system.
It's not so expensive, but $100 for a CB, to $120.
I bought Klonoa digitally on my PS3. They had those PS1 classics you can buy on PS3.
That's one I have to break my spending spree to get Klonoa.
I cannot get over.
Is the Klonoa collection still affordable right now?
It's like $50, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper than 300.
Yeah.
It has 2 games in it. Yeah, the PS1.
I would not want to spend.
Here's the thing. Here's it.
$57.
PlayStation. I understand PC Engine, TurboGrafx 16, Sega Saturn. I understand that stuff gets expensive because you didn't see a lot of it. There's not a lot of it around.
Right.
PlayStation sold what? How many millions? 100 million consoles or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
Those games are literally everywhere, and they're. I mean, Medieval right now is like a fucking $70 game. I paid like $15 for that game back in like 2015. No one gave a shit about that game 7 years ago. Nobody cared.
Are you experiencing the same thing that I went through with the TurboGrafx 16, John? Where I was like,
but the TurboGrafx 16 was like a legitimately, to a degree, a rare console.
Yeah,
PlayStations were everywhere. Everybody had a fucking PlayStation.
Well, some had low production run games though.
And plus, like, I actually asked this question to the chat while you were out, John. Like, oh, are these remasters making the originals cheaper? And then they were like, hell no, they're making them more expensive.
No, I think they make them more expensive. Look at I mean, look at Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That game has been released 100 fucking different times on every platform, and it just continues to get more expensive. The green label of that game is like over $60 right now, and people used to hate green labels.
The greatest hits,
like
version?
You didn't,
Wow.
You didn't want green labels used to be like people would put their nose up at green labels back in the day, and now it's like become this cool fad to collect the green labels. Green labels were for people like me who got a PlayStation in like 1998 or 1997 or whenever it was, to get the games for like $20. Like,
and another thing is that people
they didn't even have the disc art because the disc art wasn't even like detailed. It was just like etched onto the disc.
Greater hits. Those version were the ones that they fixed the bugs. So while people had the original version that had the bugs,
I thought that was just a myth. I didn't think that was actually
true. It's true.
It is true. I always thought that was bullshit.
It's true. They
Eating
fixed the greater
paste,
hit.
no, that is not true. Green labels made games accessible to folks like me and John, who are like late adopters.
No, it's exactly what they were. It was like, and Sony really kind of they were the first ones to do that, to where they would really heavily discount their games. I thought it was, it was really
I have
cool.
like no interest in going back and collecting PS1 games like though. I would rather.
I can't even imagine trying to like collect anything before the Switch at this point. I'm like, I throw my hands up, like, for folks who do want to, do that, all power to you. But I'm going hard as far as like collecting physicals for the Switch.
Yeah, the thing with PlayStation is it emulates perfectly. So for me, it's.
The one to collect now is PS4. Is a good time to collect that.
That's a good point.
I've been buying a bunch of PS4 games.
You know what
GameStop 4 for 20 sales. Go ham.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I collected a bunch of PS2 games, and I don't know that those will ever be worth anything. But
some of the RPGs are getting up there.
Yeah. I have a good question for everyone. What was your best collection experience? I'll tell you mine right away.
Okay, good.
Because I collected the Super Nintendo at the sweet spot when when PS2 and Dreamcast. I went to all the resale stores. I got most games for like 5, 10, 12, 15. Yeah. And they're not in box or anything, but I have a really good Super Nintendo collection. And I just got that at the sweet spot. And some of those games are just card only or expensive now because I didn't own a Super Nintendo in the 90s. I owned it when people were trading in to get the next gen stuff. Mm-hmm. Did you ever get the sweet spot and collect it for a system?
GameCube. For me, it was GameCube. I got every single, a bunch of GameCube games.
Nice.
Super, super cheap. Like, I got games that are really expensive right now.
That's good, dude.
I think for me, I got a lot of really good titles that are now expensive for like the Wii U and 3DS. The 3DS, when I was like working at GameStop, that was like a lot of fun to collect for because I would see a lot of trade-ins and then I would.
You worked at GameStop? Wow,
yeah. A lot of people I've met on YouTube have worked in GameStop or some other game store, like other offshoot of GameStop before GameStop bought every game store in the country. So. Like Babbage's. I had never heard of Babbage's until someone who's like old as dirt. Sorry.
Oh, come on.
That's one on my list that I would actually like to go back and get games for is the 3DS.
3DS, yeah.
And there's
I bought my
I probably
badge.
missed the sweet spot of that. Yeah.
I've been getting one here, one there when I have money, but I try not to spend so much.
Isn't a 3DS expensive to collect for now?
It's
Now
getting
it is.
expensive.
Yeah.
getting
So
really
3DS
expensive.
was my favorite console before Switch. That was the one that I think I got the sweet spot in because that was when everyone was getting rid of it. Oh, and Vita collecting. I think I got right before it started to get into this weird revisionist history of like, oh, Vita was like so slept on back in the day, and it was the greatest handheld of all time. Blah blah blah. Now people are saying that back then no one gave a shit about it. So that's when I capitalized on it.
Before I had my breakdown,
The PSP was kind of the popular one.
I was getting PS Vita games for way too much. Like I got Ratchet and Clank physical because it was not released in the US for like $80 to $100.
Oh my god!
And I was like, no, I gotta stop. And that's when I stopped collecting is the PS Vita because.
Max, you were out of control. You were a madman.
I bought your PS5. I didn't really have to listen. You want me to be? Here's an exclusive. I didn't have the money to buy your PS5, but I did it anyway.
Oh my god!
And I'm glad I did.
But everyone, I cut him a good deal on it.
No, he did.
I didn't overcharge him.
No, you undercharged me. I think because you sold me the headset, the remote.
I feel guilty.
Electronic Boutique,
Funky.
I do. I remember Electronic Boutique.
What do you feel guilty about?
Did I sell my PS5 before you sold yours, or was it the other way around? I don't remember how that worked.
We both enjoy the PS5, Cyrus, even though I don't buy a lot of games for it. The last game I bought was like Ratchet and Clank.
Well,
I think I got Hot Wheels Unleashed for like real cheap.
Yeah, I have another one because my brother bought it for me. I love my brother; he's awesome, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you another PS5." So,
awesome,
but it's good to have. I mean, I'm like you, Max. Like, I'm not buying a lot of games, but there's still some great experiences to have, even if you don't buy a bunch of games.
And Cyrus, I am gonna send you some games to borrow because I remember some of these games, like that Hot Wheels game, is amazing on the PS5. Yeah, and I have the PlayStation Plus version. I don't even use the disc.
Oh wow!
So I want to send you Ratchet and Clank if you haven't got it yet, and Hot Wheels Unleashed, and I think another game that was on there was Guardians of the Galaxy. That's now on PlayStation.
Let me ask you a question: how many people have you loaned things to? Because I know you
have a list.
Raya is the only one I got it back
like
from.
A lot.
I let someone borrow one of my mics for my. I have to contact the person to get one of my mics from my iPhone. It was like $100. But I don't lend a lot of stuff. But I trust you, Cyrus and Raya. And, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
We got a super chat here from H-Ports. Thank you, H-Ports, $5. You know what? Oh, I think I'm going to do something for you, H-Ports, because I've been so late on sending you your package. You just wait, H-Ports. Ever play a movie tie-in game before ever seeing the movie? For me, it was Lord of the Rings when I was 4 years old. I actually recently went back on my Wii U and played the GameCube version of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Return of the King. And it's better than I expected. It holds up better than I expected. It's really good.
I had that game. I remember when I was in high school.
Thank you for.
I remember when I was in high school. I had a gaming PC that I had built, and I remember I went and I bought The Two Towers, and that game like blew me away at the time.
They're talking about PS5 as that actually exists.
I would actually recommend going to get a PSVR 1 right now, even though it has all the cables, because it's a reduced price since they announced the PSVR 2. The games are super cheap, and it functions really well. It's just the cables. If you're a collector, now's the time to get the PSVR 1 because I think it's going to go up in price in the future again. It was very expensive for a while. For the first PSVR, it was being overcharged over retail, and now it's under retail price, and the games are like $5-10 physical. So if anyone's interested, I would actually hold off on the PSVR 2 until there's more games, and it's not backwards compatible either. Is another reason I think in the future you ever have those situations in retro gaming where something's super cheap, like really cheap, and you're like, uh-oh. I have a feeling that's my prediction. The PSVR 1 games might go up in the future, and also the actual system itself is a great time to collect that.
I keep on saying there's a bubble because of all the race on people collecting right now. We were talking about this in Riot,
Bro,
right?
we've been talking about this bubble forever, man.
Forever,
I don't know if it's ever gonna pop.
I hope
it just
pops,
shifts.
man.
I think it just shifts.
Like, I just feel
yeah.
like Raya was saying with the Vita, when people start talking, no, because the Vita, that everybody start buying Vita all of a sudden. Like they gotta like nobody even care about the Vita, and all of a sudden.
Well, can't you still do remote play with your PS5 on the Vita?
Yeah, they're still supporting that.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Well, Retro Complex and the Nintendo has finally came back down. The Nintendo is not expensive to collect for anymore, which is nice because I have my original Nintendo sitting next to me hooked up, and it's nice to pop these games back in every now and then.
That's what I'm winning.
I love
those bubble to pop so I can start buying again.
Well, I'm still the one system I think I might actually sell in the future games is the Super Nintendo games that they're all out of box, but I might get an EverDrive and just use that because
the problem with Super Nintendo, the reason I own a whole bunch of Super Famicom carts because they're so much cheaper. The problem with Super Nintendo is all those special chips. And if you want an EverDrive that'll play all the games, you got to buy one of those $300.
There's very few. I would keep the games that have the super chips, like Star Fox.
Honestly, it makes more sense to just buy a Super NT. It just makes if you're going to get it instead of buying an EverDrive for your Super Nintendo, buy the analog Super NT and just play Super Nintendo games on that.
Those are you crazy? You know how those have gone up in price.
It costs like $300 for the EverDrive that'll do all that. That's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, but the Super NT, I think they stopped making some of those. Maybe it's the NES one.
The NES one they stopped making,
and those it's like jumped in price.
Oh,
they stopped making the NES one.
$800.
I don't know. I don't know about the Super Nintendo one or the Mega Drive one.
Are we ever going to get the Duo, the analog Duo? Is that
if you go on their website, they said it was supposed to be out like last year or whatever. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Is something going on with that company? Because they used to be to deliver a lot of product, and then since the pandemic, things have changed with them. Maybe because here's my speculation on analog. Because I was thank God I didn't get into analog collecting like Cyrus said. No, I'm just kidding. Because I wanted to get every one of those analog, especially the Neo Geo one. I was like, ooh. Then I was gonna get one of those carts that plays the like an EverDrive that EverDrive doesn't make for Neo Geo, or like 140 one-on-one carts I was gonna get.
Yeah.
But I think something happened to them since the pandemic because correct me if I'm wrong. Don't they when they make these systems? Don't they get the old boards and stuff?
Only the Neo
maybe
Geo
since
one.
the
And
pandemic.
There was an NES one they did like that, and a Neo Geo one. All the other ones are FPGA based, and they're new parts. They're not based on any old stuff.
Didn't they just come out with the Game Boy?
Analog? Yeah, the Game Boy one, yeah.
Analog SP or whatever it's called.
The back part is so weird. The back part is so weird. I don't know.
I see a lot of mixed reviews on that one.
For what I hear is that every time they put the cassette, it like shakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Cartridge,
really?
yeah. That's what I heard about people saying.
Analog pocket. Yeah.
Now it's savage retro collecting.
Some people have said that I know that have the analog pocket have said that they absolutely love it and that it's just amazing. And then some people seem to have had some issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Collecting retro games have been really brutal after the pandemic. It was brutal before, but now it's just savage. Yeah, it's true. 100% with you. That
I sold my NES games.
I would have thought that collecting for retro would have like hit that bubble that y'all were speculating was gonna happen or has happened.
Well, like I said, it shifts because a couple years ago, Nintendo was just insane. I mean, it was ridiculous. The $60 for Zelda. $80 for Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and that's just absurd for those games because those are all insanely common games. And it's kind of come back down now to where it's reasonable.
You might sometimes pay like $40 for a game, but you know,
some people think there's some market manipulation that has gone on amongst parties who benefit from these sorts of prices going crazy. Let's just say that.
There's a source,
yeah.
Well, then you also have the issues with WADA and everything too. I mean, that doesn't help.
WADA should be that shit should be canceled. That shit should be banned. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Like the WADA grading thing, that's just ridiculous.
Well, especially now because of how manipulated it is now. It's not really.
I will understand WADA with comic books and not even certain specific comic book. I can kind of understand that you want to grade them, but beyond that, like gaming grading, it's like, do we really need that? Like,
yeah.
Right, like you said, it's not a comic book. It's a form of media. So
didn't they also start grading games that are still available at retail?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah, they're grading like PS5 games, and because it's about money, because people will pay them to just, hey, here's $300, grade this game.
I'll go to WADA. That's how they sound in my head. I got a WADA.
What do you got? What do you got?
Oh, what the?
What do you got?
What do you got?
What are you talking about? I
just hate that thing. Yeah.
Well,
I heard people who have done that. I'm like, why? Just play the game. One of my videos, I actually open a sealed copy of Firefly 1 and 2, and those they go almost $100. Do you think I'm gonna have my game sealed? No, I gotta play the game.
I bought one sealed game one time. It was some poker game I found at it's a card game I found at Goodwill for like $1, and I just opened it and played it. It was a PS1 game, but
I don't believe in I'm not the kind of guy that buys something and sets it on a shelf and never, just like, I'm not that guy. I know a lot of people do that, and that's cool, but if I buy something, I'm gonna open it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
My thing is, like, if you're really good at like sealing things, you could sell things to people that aren't even what they are. Like, you could sell nothing to people, and
people tried doing that with N64 games, and there's actually the way the seal is on N64 games. I think it's the way it's sealed across the top. Like, there's a seam. That's a good way to tell, but there's ways to tell, but you're absolutely right. So guys, we've been going for 2 hours. It's been awesome. I'll let everybody kind of go around the horn here and just kind of, drop your, kind of shout your channel out. Let us know where everyone can find you. But Raya, again, congrats, 1,000 subscribers.
Yes. Thank you so
Hooray.
much.
Where can everybody find you? What can they expect to see on your channel?
Yeah, so you can find me at Glimmering Harpy on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm trying to, get my branding centralized around that. So there's that. And I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm going to go to Orlando for my birthday and Thanksgiving week. And we're going to go to Disney World as well as Universal and some of the beaches around the coast. So I'm really excited for that. And I'll see y'all when I get back a week later.
Nice.
Pixar didn't happen. Pixar didn't happen.
Well, happy birthday!
Definitely be pics. Everyone will be at the edge of their seats looking. I'm sorry, waiting for the pics. So.
That's where I need to be right now. It was like 38 degrees today. I'm not ready for that. But Retro Complex, this is the first time I had the privilege to talk to you, man. I appreciate you being here. Where can everyone find you, and what can they expect?
Well, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok as Retro Complex. By the channel name. My name is Kentantino in the channel. I do retro gaming, odd gaming, like weird ass game that you never heard about. And I do center rants or like gaming news and stuff like that. You can always go on YouTube. I always on YouTube by Retro Complex.
Awesome. Nice. Max, I think everyone knows where to find you, right?
Sorry, I was muted. Maybe some people on your channel, I'd love you to come over to Movie Madness if you want to talk about. I know it's a little different than your audience, but we talk about movies there too. Definitely check us out. Go support Raya and Ken. and Cyrus is the next. Man, Cyrus is probably going to get the 1K.
Yeah, soon. It's going to happen probably in the next week.
So is Ken. So is
Heck
Ken.
yeah.
Ken's getting close too.
Close, yeah.
Don't jinx us. Don't jinx us.
Oh, I don't want to jinx you.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday to Reyes.
Yes, happy birthday.
Yeah, Cyrus, you keep going at this rate, you're going to pass both me and Max here shortly.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, slow down a little bit there.
I have been.
Good job, Cyrus.
I've been very lucky. Some very nice people have showed up and encouraged me to do a bunch of Sega stuff lately, and I've had a blast doing it. And I'm just having fun doing what I love and meeting cool people and having a great time. And if I get to this amount of subs or that amount of subs, it's cool. It's great to have, you know, people that are interested in games coming and wanting to hang out. That's really cool.
In my channel, go sub to Retro Bro too.
Yeah, so
my channel.
Yeah, I'll for Max's audience again, I know you're in the music audience, but I will sometimes stream modern games, but for me, mostly retro game streams. We'll sit down and we'll talk. Let's talk about games. I'll take a lot of requests from my audience. So if there's like a favorite retro game that you have and you want me to play it, I'll play that. I have a series called Bit Wars that I'm still working on. I'm only 2 episodes in. They take me a lot of time to make, but they're very in-depth, detailed games. I'll take a game from Sega that's been on Genesis and SNES, kind of compare the 2 differences, go through them, kind of like a little history lesson of those. And have y'all seen a lot of fun talking about retro games?
Have y'all seen John's Ninja Turtle video where he talks about the different versions of Ninja Turtles? That's a cool video.
I haven't seen that one yet.
No, check that out if you get a chance.
I'll send it to you guys. It's that wasn't so bad. The Castlevania one took me much longer to make.
The Castlevania one is cool, dude. You do some cool, like, he has all these little graphics and stuff that he puts in with animations and stuff. It's really cool. It's really nice.
I can't imagine how much it takes you.
Happy birthday, Jade. Jade's birthday's coming up too.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, Jade. So we will make an announcement we'll probably have a show next week. We're just gonna kind of iron out the date.
Might be casual.
So yeah, it might be a casual stream. We'll figure something out. But thanks for everyone who showed up.
No tie for that one, Max?
No, I'm a business professional here. Hoodie and a tie.
So thanks for everybody on Max's channel, my channel. Raya, thank you for being here. Retro Complex, thank you for being here. You guys are always welcome back. We'll see you next week. If we don't, have a happy Thanksgiving. Deuces.
Later.